Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to close out the month of George. We're celebrating George Harrison's birthday month, even though this video is probably going to air in early March. But we're celebrating many of George's great works, and we're going to cap off with something off of the Beatles' Abbey Road album. This is just a great piece of work. We've got a great rhythm guitar part that had something to it that I never knew all my life until now, the era of YouTube and isolated tracks. There's things I discovered on here that I want to share with you. And then also we'll cover the great guitar lead. It's such a masterful piece of work, and really excited to bring this lesson to you. Hey, if you haven't already, love if you can go down and subscribe if this is the kind of stuff that you like. I hope it is. But hit subscribe and ring the bell and let you know every single time I drop content, which I do every single week. Let me know in the comments what you think too. And also, every one of my videos, by the way, has a jump links in the bottom. And you can see them on the horizontal red scroll bar. But if you want to jump right to the parts of the songs that you want to learn to and skip my talking and stuff, on any of my videos, you can do that. So check that out. Okay, so we're going to start on the rhythm guitar part, the electric rhythm guitar. So this is something I never knew. There's lots of great information out there on YouTube. Here's a link that has a lot of the tracks sort of separated out. And when I listened to that, I discovered that the rhythm guitar part actually is capoed. I never knew that. My entire life, I thought this song was played, for the rhythm guitar, and you can, and it sounds fine. If you play it just in open, regular cowboy chords, without a capo, it sounds fine. But I really wanted to get to, what's actually happening on the record as much as I can, just for my own learning. Yeah, this song is capoed at 3. There's little hints where you can hear that. So I had to relearn all of this. Capoed at 3. So we're going to go through that in just a minute. As far as tone, I believe he's playing his Rosewood Telecaster. Definitely sounds like a Tele to me. Sounds like it's on the bridge pickup, and I've got my tone rolled off at about sort of 7 or 8, just to cut the bite on it a little bit. The main effect that he's got going on here is he's running it through a Fender Vibratone or a Leslie. So it's got a little bit of that swirl on it. So it's got that sort of a sound going on. So I have that courtesy of my ventilator too, which I'll show here and show you what the settings are. So other than that, I think it's pretty clean. So here we go. Let's talk about the chords. So the song is in C, and like I said, it's capoed at 3 on the record, on the rhythm track. So a C now is an A shape, right? So I'll have all the pictures of the chords up here over my shoulder as I'm going along here. But let's start with what's happening on that underneath the main sort of opening riff, okay? So it actually starts on an F chord, but I'm going to call it out like it's a D shape, okay? So those chords are D shape, C shape, E shape, A shape. Or technically it's F, E flat, G, C, right? But I think that's the positions. What I can't totally tell is if when he plays the E, if he's doing that E, or if or the E-like position, or if he's doing this, the Beatle chord. Because if you listen to the actual, the riff that's happening, because I always want to sort of link these things and put them in context, you could sort of play that riff along with it. Right? But I think he's playing that the low E. Okay, so that's that intro. Now the verse is you're starting with a C, and it's playing very light. It's very, very light in the background. I know it's potted down a little bit in the mix, but he's playing it light. That major 7. To the dominant 7. And then here's a little part that I never knew before. So it goes, you can hear him pluck that G, what is that? That's an F note, right? But it's an open string. It's really strong. It's another clue that that's a capo going on there. So the first part is a regular sort of B shape mini bar chord. So he does that for the first half of the measure, and then he makes it a 7, dominant 7. Right? So it's, which was really interesting. You kind of hear it, you know, once you hear it on like the isolated track, then you're sort of listening to the record and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can actually hear that little pause. All right, now, so that's a G chord or an E shape, and you are, here's the riff. Can't tell if he always catches that E string or not. Right? Now you can sort of do that when you're playing it in the regular open tuning, you know, with the G down here. But it never sounded exactly right, and this is why, because it's capoed. Yeah, great little part. Then it's a chromatic walk down off of it's an A minor, but off an F sharp minor shape, I guess. That's in a million songs, if you don't know that one. So that's that part, and then you're back to the top again. And it runs into the second verse. So the second verse runs through exactly the same, and then when you come to that that part where you're playing underneath the main hook riff, we're gonna change key. So the end of the chord lands you on an A major, or in this case an F sharp major shape, based on the capo. So it would end like this. Right? Now on the recording, I mean, that's the chord, but I don't think that's the position. I think he actually ends up here. So it goes like this. Right? So I know on that last chord that he lands on the what is that? That's an A chord. You can hear those notes pretty strong, because he gives a at the end of it kind of thing. But I do think he catches that higher order, what is that, G. So instead of playing that chord, he catches that one and then slides up, because he knows he's going to go to that A. So it's right. So that's what's happening at that point. And then you're going to go into the bridge section. Now, the bridge section is based off of that A chord or F sharp shape chord. And there he transitions from sort of rolling strumming to stabs, little sort of stabs of the chord, right? So here's what's happening there. Take you into it. Right, he's just hitting it. And just sort of stay loose with it. It's not necessarily exactly the same pattern every single time, but that's what's going on. Now the third version of that, or the third inversion or modifier on that chord, is you're adding that sort of 6 with your pinky. And then you end up at the regular. So those 4 together, I'll do it slowly. The bass that's happening throughout that, sort of the movement that's happening across those chords are and the bass guitar may be doing that or a version of that. But that works because those notes are happening in this way. You have it on the first one, you have it on the second one, and then instead of that lower note, you're just playing the higher octave version of it, right? And then back to your regular, and you're catching that last note there, right? So the movement is, and the way you're doing it with your stabs is you're catching it. Okay, then it's a B shape, then you slide up, so that's technically a D chord, and you're sliding up to a G, and then you slide up to an A, and hold it, right? So all the way through. Now the second time around, it's gonna bring you all the way up to a high C. So here's how you get there. Whoops. So you just go all the way up from that G chord to your C. But you can hear him doing those slide that he grabs the chord and he's just sliding. And again, hold it. And then all the other things are happening around it. Dum, 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 dum. Right. Now underneath the guitar solo, it's just the verse. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Back to the top again. So and then you're into the last verse. The only last thing I'll say about the rhythm chords on the last verse is I think he doesn't do the last. He doesn't do that on the last one. He's sort of hitting everything a little harder. Remember, in pop music, when you have your song and you're playing through it in terms of an arrangement, you want everything to sort of build over time, and sort of every little thing that you listen to, a lot of times it's either played harder or there's another instrument or another part added in that wasn't there in the beginning. But either way, you want to have sort of an arc that's running like this, that keeps, it keeps everybody interested, right? Coming out of that last verse, you're going to do that part where you get back up to the A again, right? So that's all the rhythm guitar parts. So the key on that is, if you really want to sound like the record, capo it on 3. And if you have the ability to have a if you have the opportunity to have a telly type guitar, grab that, or a single coil, and bring it back to your bridge. Take the bite off a little bit in terms of tone. If you have anything like a Leslie emulator of any kind, that'll nail that. If you don't have that, chorus, something that sort of puts a little wash over that sound, would get you closer to the sound. Okay, let's talk about that lead guitar now. All right, so these great lead parts, let's talk about those. So he's playing a different guitar on this one, I'm pretty sure. Tone is very different from the rhythm guitar. I think he's playing his 57 Lucy Les Paul, and it's either that or he had an SG standard that was played a lot during that time too. It does not sound like the Casino to me at all, which is his other sort of main guitar that was going on. But so I'm going to go with the Les Paul. In terms of tone, I think he's on the neck pickup. There's probably some EQ going on, but there's an overall sort of dark, subdued, not a lot of attack sounding. Like the notes to me sound, there's some overdrive or a little bit of dirt on it, and I can't tell if it's, how far that's done on the board, the console. But it's not totally clean, but it's really not dirty either. So I'm approximating. So I've rolled my tone off. I don't know, six-ish, 6, 7. And got a little bit of overdrive, and I'm sort of boosting the lower frequencies a little bit here to try and get that sound as close as I can. Okay, so the riff, the opening riff, or the hook, I don't know what you want to call it. So remember the first chord underneath is an F chord. We were playing it capoed. So that chord you can think of as here. So it's that note of the chord, the major third, right? So that little riff, you just want to play it like this. So it's really just 4 notes. It's those 4 notes. So he starts it on that A note. You sort of bend up a little bit to the C, and then chromatic up. That's all there is to it, but it's so beautiful, right? So that's that. So the next time, there's little flourishes that happen, throughout the verses, no, don't want to leave her now. So there's a couple of those things going on, but really the main parts is, that's that opening riff. And then let's talk about the solo. So the solo is over the verse section, which is played in C, right? It's that C, that sort of C walk down part. So, okay, so I'm going to take the solo slowly, just walk through it note by note, and then I'll talk about it afterwards, just sort of break it down into sections to describe a little bit about what's happening. And I'm doing my best to try and capture his finger positions, because there's parts that when I listen really closely, now that it's isolated, you can hear where he's, I don't know, sliding up, or he must be in this position because he's doing this kind of a thing. So I'm going to try and match that as best I can. And here we go. Okay, beautiful, right? So what's happening here? So that first part, that's just outlining this part of a C chord. Major scale. And then he does it again, he just does a little flourish. And notice I'm doing I'm when he's doing his little bends, I'm trying to mimic where his hand must have been to be able to do that kind of bend with sort of minimal acrobatics, right? You don't have to jump around like that. All right, then he's going to expand it a little more. So it's a little phrase, and he expands it every single time. And he goes up to that seventh. And the next chord you're landing on is an F. So we just outline that F chord. Right? So all together. Okay, so I'm going to outline. So here we go. Okay, so the first phrase that he does, he's going to start with the phrase, he's going to expand on it a little bit on the second time, and then on the third time he's going to expand on it more and then take you to the next chord, which is an F. So that's what's happening. That's that little part of a C chord right there. Whoop. So that's just that little part. So that's the first time. Second time, you expand on it a little more. He's going to add that note. But I think he bends it. So just bring your index finger up. It's an up bend. The next time he's going to add that seventh. Because remember when you were playing the chords, that's the second time. Now he's on the third time, that's a seventh. That's a dominant seventh. So that's why he's going to grab that. It goes there, because now you're moving into your F chord. Right? Okay, and I think he is going up that string. He could go. But when I listen to it, when I listen to the track, he's got a bend going on here, which means he slides into it and he bends off it, so I think he has to slide up. So he does. He does that little. One of those. So then he's. Okay, so those parts. You're going to end up on an A note. Now you can either do A there, or you can come down to A here. All right, so either way. Now we're going to go from an A to a D. Kind of a D chord there. And he does that slide up. So he's not jumping strings. He's not doing, it's not that. It's, right? And then it's just down to here. Your little pentatonic bend. And then you're back at your, to close it out. All right, so the last part of the lead guitar is the outro. And so the way that that's going to work is you're going to do your normal, first time you're going to do your normal sort of opening hook riff. But now you're going to go up to the, instead of instead of ending there, you're going to go one more. Because remember, that's the A chord. It's like in the bridge part. It's like you're starting to go into the bridge part again, which is that A chord, A major, right? So again, and then he does this, right? And then again. And then you end with a 2-note piece of a C chord. So if you think of that C chord, a triad, you're just doing those 2 notes. Which makes it triumphant. It's like, because I think that's root and fifth, right? So. Okay, and that's something. A great piece of work by George Harrison. I don't know if that's actually true, but something that's funny about that song, or I think it's funny, Frank Sinatra said it's his favorite Lennon-McCartney song, which it's not a Lennon-McCartney song. But great piece of work. Yeah, the big learn for me was the rhythm was played on capo 3, which is interesting. And now that you do it, or now that I do it, it sounds right. Okay, if you haven't done so already, by the way, love for you to click subscribe and ring the bell if you like what you're seeing here. I drop content every single week, and love to hear from you if there's songs that you'd like me to take on and do a lesson similar to this. And love to hear you and let me know what you think of this one. Okay, so that's Something by George Harrison, Beatles, Abbey Road, 1969, closing out the month of George, celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, George, and take care, everybody.